So we got to talk about something serious. I think we're in real trouble in the Middle East, and you already know this, but it's way worse than what the Trump people are saying. And let me show you guys what's going on. So first, this is Trump, and we're talking about basically munitions and ammo. He says the United States munitions stockpiles, this is from Trump just a few hours ago, munitions stockpiles have at the medium and upper medium grade never been higher or better, okay? As was stated to me today, we have a virtually unlimited supply of these weapons. According to Trump, we have unlimited weapons, okay? Wars can be fought, quote, forever, and very successfully using just these supplies, okay? And then listen to this. Fortunately, I've rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so. The United States is stocked and ready to win big. Thank you for attention to this matter. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this stuff is because if you've been following my channel, you'll know we talked about the last couple of videos that there's been multiple reports that we're basically running out of munitions, running out of ammo, and this stuff is really expensive. Essentially, what Iran can do is send over a bunch of cheap drones. So let's say the drones cost $20,000, $25,000, something like that. And let's say, and this is what we've talked about, Bloomberg did a thing on it, these Patriot missile things cost $4 million each. You can easily do the math. $20,000 drone, the Americans using these $4 million missiles to shoot them down, and then it takes like multiple of these things to shoot these drones down. And then frankly, it's horribly expensive. And in fact, we're running out of resources. And something that really caught my attention today is where Trump's sort of like, well, it's just going to be a few weeks, something like that. And I wonder if that's what the projections are of like basically when we just run out, like we just run out. And I'm starting to wonder also about our money situation because we're leaving people out to dry. And I want to show you what I mean by that. First, the embassy in Saudi was hit by drones. It says U.S. embassy in Riyadh attacked as Iran steps up Saudi strikes, okay? 2 drones struck near the U.S. embassy in Riyadh, prompting President Trump to vow retaliation, saying, quote, "You'll find out soon what form that would take." Now, immediately when that news came out, and what we basically heard is like there was a attack at the embassy. The stock market was basically tanked in Asia. So I'm in Korea, if you guys know, our market went down 7%, which is pretty significant. I'm just telling you, it's just like, it was all over the news. My wife just kept looking at the phone. I'm just like, don't look. It's best not to look, like, because you can see everything just like sinking, crashing, and just like, what the heck? And also I want to show you our news, okay? So this is basically what they were showing. They were talking about, the fighting's getting worse. Then they were showing that the Americans are evacuating, basically, which is obviously not a good sign. Now, I've said, to be clear, I think we should get our people out, but you want to do it to where like you have some sort of plan. But the way that they're talking about it is like the Americans are just like really in trouble here, right? And then there's something that also is in the Korean news. Look how they portray Trump. So they basically, right, you're in the Middle East, you got explosions everywhere, and Trump's just like completely out of it, confused, however you want to say it. But the images that they show of him, that's who Trump is, right? He's way in over his head. Him and his people are completely incompetent. And then, right, the markets are reading it like, oh my God, the world is melting down, basically, right? Stocks and bonds tumble. And then I saw this. Trump sent a letter, and they're basically saying, we don't know how long it's going to take, okay? It says, I'll read it. It says, CBS News has obtained the War Powers Resolution notification from Trump, sent to Congress today on February 28th, strikes against Iran, okay? In the letter, he says the threat has become, quote, untenable, outlines the missile and air defense targets that were hit, and acknowledges it's not yet clear how long the operations may last. And then this is what I was saying, where we're leaving Americans out to dry. Because this is the embassy, it says here, the U.S. Embassy, Jerusalem, Palestinian audiences. As a result of the current security situation throughout the region, the U.S. Embassy has directed that all U.S. government employees and their family members continue to shelter in place in and near their residencies until further notice, okay? So just stay where you're at. The U.S. Embassy is not in a position at this time to evacuate or directly assist Americans in departing Israel. You're on your own, right? And this is not something that I want to see from my government. I don't want to see you just abandoning our people. I don't want to see this, okay? I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, left, right. I don't care. I don't want to see our government abandoning any of our people. I'm not saying anything crazy. And this is kind of what they're saying. That the U.S. Embassy is not in a position at this time to evacuate or directly assist Americans in departing Israel. You're stuck, right? That's what they're basically saying here. And this right here just really, the whole thing pisses me off to no end. I'll just be frank. But this is what shows where the priorities are, right? Trump's talking about, oh, we got to send in more troops. We got to keep bombing. We're going to hit them back, whatever. Like it is, that's what really shook the market is when it was reported on our news that basically drones hit the embassy, right? Now, whether or not it hit the actual building, did it go through a window? Is it like right in the front lawn? I don't know, right? I'm just telling you that that's how it was reported to us. And the market instantly took a dive and Trump's like, okay, we're going to retaliate. And then Trump starts going on. That's why I showed you just a few hours ago. Oh, guys, we got plenty of munitions. We got unlimited. It's going to be a forever. Like that was his words. You guys can see it there. And it's just like, you know, and now they're telling any Americans in the Middle East. That's what I was showing you in our news is basically get out, right? But we can't help you. And this is a bad sign. It's a bad sign because when I say, guys, we should get our people out, I mean like we should help our people and get out, right? Make sure people are safe. But here when they're telling you, dude, you're on your own. It's bad. It's really bad. And then Marco Rubio, which I told you guys in the last video, he comes out, he makes this video and basically says, hey guys, we're using all our resources to set up a hotline, right? A phone number. They didn't say like, hey guys, we're going to come rescue you. We're getting you out. Hey guys, we're sending in the choppers. Get on board. We're getting out, right? It's not like that. They're just like, hey guys, we got a phone number for you. And then the embassy's like, well, we're not going to help you. And this is where you got to be realized, like, this is just awful. Now, that's on the American side. And I want to be clear. I don't want to ever preference that Americans' lives are worth more than any other people's lives. I treat all people the same. I value people's lives in general, okay? So this is also the what's going on the Iranian side. 787 killed in U.S.-Israeli strikes, Iranian Red Crescent says. And the reporting now I've been hearing is like the U.S. and Israel, it's so many. It's like 1,250 targets is how they classify these things. And so now they're killing nearly 1,000 people. I just, the whole thing is terrible. The whole thing is terrible. So not only is the U.S. and Israel killing people, as I'm just showing you, they're also leaving the Americans out to dry. And then you turn into, the American news and Trump is just talking about drapes and curtains. It's so stupid. It's so ridiculous. And then I was reading here, this is Al Jazeera. They're basically talking about Israel's taking land. That's basically what they were talking about in here. They're moving up to the southern of Lebanon, and Israel seizes land in Lebanon. I'm just reading through that, and of course they are. And this is I'm not saying I agree that I'm just saying that's what they do, right? They attack Gaza. They say, okay, we're going to take Gaza now. They actually issued this is Israel. They actually issued a thing yesterday where there was like, hey, if you're in certain cities, you should evacuate basically. So it's basically threatening a bunch of people, and now they're just taking land. As you can see, it's the whole thing's sick. I'll just be frank. The whole thing's sick. I can't control what Israel does, but I don't want my government participating in this stuff, right? Make it really clear on that. And then also this is sort of where I was thinking about this. How much could the Iran war cost the U.S.? Here's what to know. And I was reading through this, and I was putting this together with the stuff that I read in Bloomberg, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, like multiple sources in USA, and they're all talking kind of the same thing. Like, this stuff is expensive. We're running out of munitions. And then the Trump tweet just a few hours ago, I'm just like, wow. So usually the way this game is played with the Trump people is, don't necessarily take everything with a grain of salt. Like usually the reporting from Wall Street Journal and such have been pretty spot on. But then when the Trump people officially deny it, then it's probably true. I'm being frank with you. That's just how this is. And leaving our people out to dry. I mean, it's just so many things, right? State Department urges Americans to leave Middle East now if you can get out. And then, when I flip over, because this is sort of why I wanted to show you the contrast, like if you guys don't follow my channel, in the UK, for example, the big debate over there is like, hey, how can we get our people home? And it's the same thing here in Korea. They're just like, hey, how can we get our people home? And they got the, Korean politicians on the phone talking to people, is like figuring out where all the people are, right? Get the people home. And then USA, they're just like, you're on your own. And that tells you all you need to know about this ridiculous administration. This stuff is so poorly planned. And I also want to address this too really clearly. Sometimes the MAGA people are going to say, come and say, oh, Chris, you're so dumb. We need to go fight everybody, right? Trump told us we have to go get them. And I got to make this really clear, okay? This is not a defense of the Iran regime, right? I read all the reports as they're going. There were people protesting, uprising. The killing by the Iran regime on the protesters sounded really bad. I'll just be frank. And I even saw a video of I can't even show it on YouTube. It's pretty terrible. I'll be frank with you on that. The problem is if the USA just comes and drops a bunch of bombs and destroys buildings, kills people, both in the regime and civilians, don't expect that to suddenly solve everyone's problem. And there was a really good report in The Guardian today where, a person was describing it, basically saying, yeah, I hope the regime falls, but doesn't necessarily cheering on Americans coming and bombing his country. And and if you want to play that game of, we need to spread freedom all around the world, well, why aren't you attacking North Korea right now, right? Why aren't you attacking Russia right now? Why aren't you attacking any number of countries? You want to play that game of freedom. Or if you want to play the game of, but Chris, you care about people. So, okay, if you're a MAGA Republican, if that's true, why don't you welcome refugees from all over the world, right? Like, you're the people who guys want to build walls all the time. And this is the thing is, like, it's not that I, don't want people to be free. Of course I do. I don't want people to be killed or tortured and this kind of stuff. But it doesn't necessarily mean the Americans have the power to do that, right? Like, what's our plan? Is to go and drop a bunch of bombs and say, okay, that's freedom? Is a bunch of bombs falling from the sky? I mean, this stuff is so ill-conceivably thought out. And then the whole plan for if the Americans were to do this is then, like, put some sort of puppet person in power. And then Trump recently said, well, we had a number 2 and a number 3 pick, but they're dead now. So now we don't have anyone that we want to put in power. But even if they were to put someone in power, it's going to be completely illegitimate because it's not chosen by the people. I mean, this is just not our fight, And it's hard to explain to Americans. And I'll just be frank with you guys, a bunch of people in the MAGA people, they're just uneducated, Are all of them, like, just the most awful people of all time? Not necessarily. They're just uneducated, and they're widely misled. And I can get really angry at them, and I can yell, and I can swear, and a lot of people can do that, right? If you want to watch other channels, they can totally do that. I'm trying to build bridges here and just be honest and have real conversations about this stuff. At the moment, my biggest concern is preservation of life. I don't condone any of the violence going on any which way. It's not great that let's be frank, it's terrible that Iran is shooting missiles at everywhere. I can see it with my own eyes, but you also have to acknowledge the fact that the U.S. and Israel are also attacking everywhere, which is also not good. I mean, isn't it obvious? And, like, what's frustrating in this day and age, like, people feel like that they can only talk about one side and they can't talk about everything, which I think it's a pretty reasonable human thing to say. Guys, I don't want any loss of life from either side, any side, right? We have more in common with each other than not, and this whole thing is just a game to the Trumpers and stuff like that. It's all a joke and sick. So that's my thoughts on this. I hope you're okay out there, but pretty frank though, I'm reading through everything today, and I think we're in real trouble in running out of munitions. So that's why Trump said, oh no, we got unlimited munitions, we're totally fine, right? Which means we're totally not. So that's my thoughts on this, and I'll catch you in the next video.